Anybody here looking for the definition of the term timeless classic? Yeah, go look up this phrase on Urban Dictionary. Chances are, if you were to look it up, there would be a picture of this movie's poster next to that phrase. Mark my words. How's it going, everybody? My name is Zack, and I love discussing cinema and all things entertainment. And I really do appreciate you guys clicking on the thumbnail today. I really do hope you enjoy your stay, because here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2021 Halloween playlist. Yeah, had to get that in there. Don't mind me. But yes, guys, I'm going to be looking at some of the strangest, the spookiest, and the scariest films to ever grace my eyes. And I have gotten so many amazing requests from you beautiful viewers out there. Thank you all so very much for helping me put this together. But you guys have helped me compile a list of 12 movies that I'm going to be looking through throughout the month of October. And what better way to start off this year's countdown than by looking at one of the most influential horror films ever made, Frankenstein. This 1931 version is, of course, based off the famous novel by Mary Shelley, which I actually did read my senior year of high school for my AP Lit class. This one was directed by James Whale, and it stars Colin Clive as Dr. Henry Frankenstein, along with the surprising appearance of Boris Karloff as the monster itself. And this iconic Universal monster film follows the obsessed scientist, Dr. Henry Frankenstein, played by Colin Clive, as he attempts to create life by assembling a creature from body parts of the deceased. And aided by his loyal, misshapen assistant Fritz, played by Dwight Frye, Frankenstein succeeds in animating his monster, played by Boris Karloff. But, confused and traumatized, it escapes into the countryside and begins to wreak havoc all over the place. So Dr. Frankenstein searches for the elusive being, and eventually must confront his tormented creation face to face. So there's a very specific reason why I wanted to start off this year's playlist with Frankenstein. And no, just to clear up that assumption, it's not because this is the oldest film on this list. But similar to how I started off last year's list with Psycho, I feel like there's gonna be films later on this year's playlist that owe a debt to Frankenstein. Because this is not only one of the most influential scary movies out there, but I would argue that Frankenstein is one of the greatest films ever made, period. For a film that came out in 1931, believe it or not, this movie is not dated. This is so immaculately shot, ladies and gentlemen. Sure, there's points in the movie where you'll for sure notice this movie was shot on set with cycloramas for backgrounds, like in the graveyard sequences. But director James Whale got super creative with the filmmaking in this one. And for 1931, the camera work is absolutely stunning. This is, in my eyes, one of the best transfers to Blu-ray and digital you will ever see. It is honestly so breathtaking and astounding how well this film has held up for 90 years. And that's not just in terms of the general technical prowess of this film, but the fear factor is so unsettling. There is no denying that Frankenstein was decades ahead of its time, frightening audiences, scaring them out of the theaters all over the place. And you know what's truly remarkable is that the scares still feel wholly unique, even 90 years later. Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that either. This is absolutely amazing and remarkable that this film can still accomplish that. Like, for example, and you can go back and rewatch this film, and you can try and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but aside from the opening and the closing credits, there is no musical score. None. A good chunk of modern filmmakers would feel so tempted to put in big jolts of music every time the monster pops into frame. But James Whale wisely makes the score of the moment the disgruntled noises coming from Frankenstein's creation, the terrified screams of his victims. It's ingenious, guys. As is the screenplay. The arc of every single character within Frankenstein is utterly perfect. We are treated to some solid exposition where we see the monster's kryptonite, so to speak, is fire, fittingly enough. And then the climax ends up with him in the burning windmill, all as Dr. Frankenstein tries to sabotage what he brought to life. It is... Guys, this is utter poetry. Absolutely fantastic story in every way. And speaking of fantastic, I gotta talk about Colin Clive as Dr. Henry Frankenstein because I don't really think he gets enough respect for this performance. Clive clearly understood this character's full arc and teetering the line between genius and insanity. It's alive! It's alive! Yeah, that scene where we're introduced to the monster moving his hands for the first time, mesmerizing not only because of the fact that Frankenstein succeeded with his life's work, but every character within that moment, Dr. Frankenstein himself, his fiancée, whoever, every single one of them clearly understands their character's given circumstances, and they have the proper reaction to go along with it, all to coincide with such an iconic moment. I mean, I keep praising this movie, but I can't praise it enough. It's so good, guys. But it really would not be a discussion about Universal's masterpiece without discussing Boris Karloff, huh? Now keep in mind that Boris Karloff was a super famous name back in the early 30s, and his involvement in the film was kept such a gigantic mystery. So much so that the opening credits where we see the cast list next to the monster, there is a gigantic question mark. That's right, Universal kept it that much of a secret because, you know, obviously the internet wasn't a thing back in 1931, so this strategy is unheard of right now. That would be like if we were waiting for the MCU's Fantastic Four and Kevin Feige released the entire cast list aside from Doctor Doom, and then we go to the theater only for him to reveal that it's Robert f***ing De Niro. And obviously that's probably not what's gonna happen, but you get my point. When we finally do see Karloff in the character, he is just so good at playing this thing. There's times where we'll be fearful of the monster, there's times where we'll feel sorry for him, and it's all done without a single line of actual dialogue. That just goes to show you how incredible of a talent Boris Karloff actually was. Not to mention, the costume and the makeup design for this film is off the charts. That face is truly still the stuff of nightmares. And Karloff melds into the makeup so well. His character movements, pitch perfect. Almost as if he himself was dragged out of that coffin 15 minutes before the shoot started. Guys, I obviously think that Frankenstein is an incredible movie. It is years ahead of its time, and there's just way too many haunting scenes to count. Like the father carrying his dead daughter throughout the crowded streets, looking for revenge against the monster who accidentally drowned her. That just feels so real in the moment. And I mentioned Frankenstein's creation poetically being trapped in the burning building, which, spoiler alert, does not kill the monster, of course not, because you've got a sequel to look forward to in about 4 years. But as I mentioned near the top of this review, I think John Carpenter, movie monsters like Michael Myers, they owe a debt of gratitude to the effectiveness of this climax. Because if this didn't work back in 1931, sure as hell was not gonna work right now. I mean, what else is there to say? This one is, in fact, a timeless classic, one of the greatest films ever made. I am absolutely giving Frankenstein an A+. And this goes out to the few of you who may have never seen a black and white film before. I think this would be a good one to start you off with. And that especially goes for those of you who are studying film, or if you're just film buffs in general, like me. I think you guys would owe it to yourself to check this one out, especially in the month of the spooks. I mean, the movie's only 71 minutes after all, so I know you guys have the time. But this is all just my opinion. Do you guys think this movie is a timeless classic like I do? Do you not like this film as much? And I have a question. Which is your favorite Universal monster movie of all time? Go ahead and make some noise down in the comment section below, and let's have a further fun discussion, because as you know, I love creating this content for you guys. So if you guys want to keep up to date on all of these topics with me, then do consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. This channel is on the road to 1,000 subscribers, which I am still absolutely floored by. Let's see if we can make it there by the end of the year. I really would appreciate that, guys. It'd be really beneficial for you guys to subscribe because you guys can keep up to date with all of my other featured content, not just in the Halloween playlist. And this is also totally free to you guys. And hey, if you guys enjoyed the video, one last thing, be sure to hit that thumbs up on your way out. That would absolutely be tremendous. It really helps me get this content out there. And of course, stay tuned for loads more exciting content hitting this channel very soon, including my reviews for Venom Let There Be Carnage and the Netflix exclusive The Guilty. Speaking of Netflix, in case anybody's wondering if I've been watching Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass, I have been. Don't you think I forgot about my boy Mike Flanagan? But once I finish that up, I've got a lot of stuff on my plate this month, obviously, but I promise you guys, once I finish up that series, I'll go ahead and do a review for that as well. And keep your eyes peeled for the next entry entry into this Halloween playlist, which I am so excited to announce commemorates another milestone anniversary. We're gonna be celebrating 30 years of downright misery. That's right, Stephen King adaptations came early for you guys this year. I cannot wait to talk about it, guys. It's honestly one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations ever, including two of my favorite performances of all time. So stay tuned for all of that content and much, much more, my friends. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.